Hello, it's Kendra again with Freak or Frog number 3. As you may know, Freak or Frog is my series where I'm going through my whips and just piles of things crochet related and deciding whether to freak out and add the items that I find that are partially completed to my on the hook list and start actively working on finishing them, or I'm going to just frog them. There is a third category kind of, which might be designs and things that I have in progress. Those get put on my strung out, my intentionally long-term projects to eventually be finished, hopefully sooner rather than later. So now, today, we are going to tackle this area. This is my very messy desk, and this is the pile of things that end up next to it. It's a very scary pile, and somewhere in there, I believe, is my N hook, and I want that hook. So, I'm going to go through this pile and see what is there. I'll let you know what I dig out. Well, my boxes are all cleaned out. This is apparently going to be a multi-step process this time. Here are all of the things that I have come across that were not just yarn. I put all the, extra yarn that needed to be gone through. I just put that stuff away already. These are all projects that I put aside because, yeah, I was probably frustrated or should have just admitted at the time that I was not going to finish them. So now I'm going to frog them. But I thought I would show you kind of where they're at because a lot of these have a lot of progress on them. So the first thing that I found actually was this pair of boxers, which Steve had worn out, which I'm going to ultimately turn the fabric that's still usable out of them into a project bag for myself, because this is the first pair of boxers I made him. As you can tell, they have been well loved and repaired and things, but I made these for him when I was in high school. So, I will be fixing those. I also found a bag of pens that I had been looking for that were all wrapped up. Still didn't find my end hook. Other things that I found that are going on my on the hook list that I'm gonna freak out about are these. These two things here are some yarn from Christmas that I used extra tie-dye from our Christmas shirts to make yarn, well, to dye yarn. And I made some covers for some stainless steel mugs. They just need ends woven in and buttons put on. This is an extra piece. I need to just frog this and put it away. These are some mini dishcloths I made. They each just have one end that needs to get woven in and then clipped, and then they are good to be used. And then I have a cowl and a hat from a Moogly blog pattern, and they just need these buttons attached, and then they will be ready for sale. Okay, so here are the rest of the projects. First thing that needs to be frogged is this, which was a crocheted sock I was working on. I was using this as a car project. My daughter was in dance for a while. I have one sock done, but it's not perfect and there's a part through it that isn't very comfortable. So I'm just going to frog this, and I'd even started the second, but these are going to get frogged. Next, I have this, which was the beginning of a cover for a journal. I was making a pouch that my journal and pens and things fit in. I'm going to frog this and put this yarn, which was all scraps to begin with, into my scrap stash blanket. There is this, which is a pattern design that I've played with and worked on, and it's not, the shaping is close, but it's not quite right, and I don't like the shells that I used, so I'm going to frog it and use the yarn for something I like better. And save the parts of the idea that I like so that I can use them again in a different project. Then there is this jacket, which I made the entirety of the pattern and didn't like it, and I was trying to fix it to make it better. I forget what the name of the designer is, but it is a free pattern online to make this jacket, and I just tried it on, and I'm not happy with it, and I could probably try and finagle and make it better, but if I'm not happy with it now, I'm not going to be happy wearing it. And I just finished making a dress out of this same yarn, which I have one hank here. Obviously, I'm going to pull a ball out of this, and I think there's a couple balls in here, and I really like the way the yarn feels, so I would be inclined to make myself a top or something out of it. So, I'm going to frog this so that I can make something I will like better. Next, there is this Bernat blanket. I have one ball here, and there's a ball here. I was trying to make slippers for my husband, and I'm just not happy with how they're turning out. They're just too big. There's an extra like row somewhere, an extra round, and it just makes everything too much. So I'm going to frog these and I guess eventually try again. Then we have some Bernat Baby Sport, where I had been, there's bits of a couple of like blanket attempts in here. I'm going to frog those things out so that I can just add this to my baby blankets, or my baby blanket yarn stash. This is some Bernat Mosaic. This is a scarf I had started working on for a crochet along I was doing, and I just don't really like it. So, and I'd run out of the yarn. I think this is probably a skein. So I'm going to frog it, and then I can use the yarn for something I like better. Here is another shawl design. This is some Red Heart with Love. It's a shawl design I kind of started working on and playing with, and then the person I was making patterns for no longer required patterns, so I have a bunch of projects that are partially done that I just never finished tinkering with. This is one of them. I'm going to pull out because it's not far enough along to bother with at this point. I could easily come up with those same ideas again, and chances are I have all that stuff written down in my like design notebook anyways. And finally, there's some Pound of Love. This was the beginnings of a baby blanket I was making, and it's not quite turning out like it is in my brain. So I'm going to pull it out, and eventually I'll give it another go, but now is just not that time. Now it is the time to frog the things. So this batch of Freaker Frog took me a little longer than the previous ones. Well, you saw how many items there were that had a great deal of work already in them. That coat alone took me quite a while. So I worked on it last evening, and I worked on it again this morning and afternoon, and now here are the results. So these things are going into my just finish sewing them up pile. We've got yarn. Here's everything that came out. Well, this one hadn't been in it. But this is all the stuff that came out of that coat. We have some mosaic. This is all going into my scrap stash blanket. These will go back into normal stash. Got some baby yarn. And then I decided with this shawl that even though I'm not happy with the way it's working out, I'm going to just keep it together since it already has all of the ends aren't woven in, but the sections are already cut at their length. I'm just going to frog it as I go when I do decide to update and work on that pattern some more. So I'm going to throw it in with my design stuff and kind of make it a strung out project. I do like the concept I had going. I just need to tweak it, and that will take some time. So here it all is. So I hope that this inspired some of you to maybe go dig into your stash of woebegone projects and decide whether you're gonna freak or frog. If you make any of those decisions, leave down below in the comments what you're working on, because I am very interested. Go in to your whip pile, get rid of that guilt, and just frog the stuff that needs to disappear, because the good yarn does not belong in bad projects, and you can reclaim it and use it for good things. On the end screen here, you will see a link to the Makes Monday video from this week in case you missed it, as well as a link to my Etsy shop if you'd like to check out my project bags and crocheted creations. It helps you support me so I can keep making this free crafty content for you. I'll see you all next time. Bye!